So last year when I was in Sedona, I had like multiple little crazy experiences that were all very different. If you've ever been to Sedona, you know it's highly active with spiritual activities, I should say. And in this one case, this one instance, I went to the airport Mesa, and I parked my car at the airport side. I did the little hike over to the big rock that you climb up and you sit on, and I went up there, and there were a lot, maybe about 8 other people were up there. And I'm looking out at everything, and then I decided I'm just going to go into a meditation. And as soon as I went into a meditation, I had this little elemental guide just come in and take my hand, and he basically pulled me down into the earth and was just showing me around down there. And I was watching all these other little elemental beings that all looked different. There were fire elementals, water elementals, air, and then of course the earth elementals. And so I'm just around there. It wasn't very long, maybe a few minutes. He was just like letting me know it was there, and then he brought me back up to my body. And the first thing I noticed when I got back up to my body was how quiet it was where I was. And so I opened my eyes and realized everybody else up there, with the exception of 2 people who were just sitting quietly, had also laid down and started meditating. So there we were all meditating. And then out of nowhere, this person I know, her astral self, just came walking in, and she sat right down beside me and started asking me. I hadn't seen her in a little bit. It had been a few months since I had seen her. And she just started asking me, like, how are you doing? And so we had this little conversation, and then she went on her way. And then I stayed up there for a little bit longer, and then I went to hike, back over to where my car was. And as I'm going through that path and I'm walking along it, I had this couple pass me. And then I'm going by this tree, and I hear this like thump thump, and I think, well, there's somebody behind me. And I looked behind me, and there was nobody there, and that couple was way, further down. And then all of a sudden I realized there's a elemental, like a tree elemental, I would say. He was dressed a lot like a lumberjack, but if you could mix like a leprechaun type and a lumberjack together, this is what he looked like. He had this flaming red hair and this flaming red beard, and he had on flannel, and he had on suspenders, and I realized he's escorting me out of there. Like I would say that I believe he was protecting me, making sure nothing attached itself to me as I went through this space. And so I get back to where there's the gate that you go through, and then you walk across asphalt over to where your car is. And I think he's going to stay there, and I go through the gate and I close it, and then I realize he's still walking with me. He walked me all the way to my car, and then I get in my car, and it's like, okay, you're good now, you're safe, I don't have to worry about you. And perfect divine masculine type of being he was. And then the other story I just thought I would share with you was on a separate day. I went on a hike at one of the other locations. There's so many around there, but this hike, like when you go through this one part of the trail where I it was just, you don't go down and you don't go up. Like it's just the trail, because it's all rocks going up, and then going down there were trees and some wooded areas, but you could see through this, but there was no pathways anywhere, and it was pretty steep type of incline to go down. And so I walked as far as I wanted to walk, knowing how much I would have to go back. And it just happened to be, it was a perfect space where there was a big rock I could climb up to and sit down and, kind of just ground myself in the energy. So I stayed up there for a little bit, and then I got down and and I got ready to go. And I saw, when I was sitting there, I had seen this couple pass by that was going in the direction I would be going. And so I look over and I see they're there, and there may be 40 feet separation between me and them, and there's nobody between us. So I literally just get down off the rock. It was, you know, it took me all of 60 seconds. And I look again, and now there's this man in between us. And he looks right at me and smiles, nods his head, and I smile back at him, and I'm thinking, where did he come from? And then I had a thought, well, what if he wasn't smiling at me? So I turned around to see if he was motioning to someone else, and there was nobody behind me. When I turned back, he was completely gone. And I look up, there's nobody. You could see everything going up. He wasn't there. I could see the people that had walked by me. There was nobody in between us again. And when I looked down, even though there's trees and different stuff, there was nothing there. It's like he just vanished in the space of a moment. And I thought, I think I just saw a spirit. I think I just saw somebody's, you know, spirit that had been here. So the next day was thinking about it later that day, and I thought, I'm going to look up people who have passed away while hiking here in Sedona. And, you know, quite luckily the list was small, but I was looking at the names, you know, the little stories, and I saw one that was like the right demographics, the right age group and all of that. Just one. And I go look this person up, and I find their obituary, and his face was exactly the person I saw. And what was really even more of a confirmation, because, you know, the universe wants to confirm things for you. They make sure, yep, this is right. He had the same birthday, month, and day as I did. And as soon as I saw that, I just knew. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool. And what's really cool is, you know, he was wearing all the gear, like all the right gear to be doing the hiking. So he's still out there. He was clearly having fun. There wasn't any, like, I'm stuck, I'm lost, I'm haunting. It was more like, I'm doing what I love to do. So I don't believe he was a stuck soul. I just think that sometimes he came back and enjoyed himself by going back to hikes he had done while he had been here and alive. So anyway, I just thought I'd share those with you guys. If you have any experiences of your own, I'd love to hear about them. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next video.